Do you know the average American spends more than 6 hours a day looking at screens, but less than 6 minutes looking inside their own mind? Silence. This silence isn't empty. It's an invitation. An invitation to notice the restless hum beneath your daily rush, the constant stream of thoughts that keep you awake at night, the subtle tension you carry in your shoulders without realizing. Welcome to Mindfulness. This space isn't about lofty philosophy or complicated rituals. It's about something profoundly human, learning how to stop, breathe, and return home to yourself. The truth is, many of us are chasing after success, love, and security, but we rarely pause to ask, at what cost? How much pressure are we putting on ourselves just to keep up? Thich Nhat Hanh, the Vietnamese Zen master beloved across the world, once said, "People sacrifice the present moment in order to get to the future, but the future never comes. Life is only available in the present." Think about that. How many times have you rushed through a meal, barely tasting it because you were already planning the next meeting? How often have you been with your family but lost inside your head, worrying about tomorrow's to-do list? American meditation teachers like Jon Kabat-Zinn, Jack Kornfield, and Sharon Salzberg have echoed this truth for decades. The real problem isn't our job, our spouse, or our bank account. The real problem is the non-stop voice in our mind, pushing us harder, faster, and further. It's like having a wild horse inside your head, dragging you across rocky ground. You're not steering, it is. And the harder you try to pull back, the more exhausted you become. Here's the shocking part. This wild horse isn't your enemy. It's your untrained mind. And when you learn how to calm it, even for a few breaths, you begin to taste a freedom that no amount of money or success can buy. The Buddha himself taught that peace is not found in the future or in some perfect circumstance. Peace is found right here, when we stop running and simply notice, I am breathing. I am alive. This is the first doorway into mindfulness. Not a complicated philosophy, not a religion. Just the simple, radical act of coming back to yourself. And maybe, just maybe, this pause, this breath, could be the beginning of a very different life. The hidden enemy. We often blame our stress on the outside world. The endless emails, the bills waiting on the kitchen counter, the family conflicts, the uncertainty about the future. It's so easy to point a finger and say, if only that changed, I'd finally be at peace. But let's pause for a moment. If it was really about the outside world, then why do two people facing the same challenge respond so differently? One person breaks down under pressure, while another remains calm, even kind, in the middle of the storm. Thich Nhat Hanh used to remind his students, it is not the noise outside that disturbs us, it is the noise inside. That's the hidden enemy. Not your boss, not your partner, not the economy. It's the restless mind that never stops talking. Imagine waking up in the morning. Before you've even brushed your teeth, your mind is already racing. Did I send that email? I should eat healthier. I can't believe I said that yesterday. What if I fail at this project? What if? What if? What if? It's like having a radio inside your head that never shuts off. Static, commentary, criticism, all day, every day. Jon Kabat-Zinn, one of the pioneers of mindfulness in America, calls it the automatic pilot. You're moving, working, even laughing sometimes, but you're not really here. You're being dragged around by that inner voice, the wild horse that doesn't rest. And this enemy is subtle, because unlike a boss you can quit or a job you can leave, you can't walk away from your own mind. Wherever you go, it follows. You can move to a beach in Hawaii or a cabin in the mountains, but if you bring that restless mind with you, the stress will be waiting at the door. Sharon Salzberg, a beloved meditation teacher in the US, once shared that she spent much of her early life feeling like she was never enough. No matter what she achieved, her mind whispered, not good enough, not fast enough, not smart enough. Does that sound familiar? For many of us, the enemy is that same inner critic, whispering at every turn. But here's the hopeful truth. What has been learned can be unlearned. The restless mind isn't fixed in stone. Neuroscience confirms what the Buddha taught 2,600 years ago. The mind is trainable. It's plastic, flexible, capable of transformation. With mindfulness, you don't kill the wild horse. You learn to guide it. You learn to ride. Think about it like this. Imagine you're driving down the freeway. A car cuts you off, and instantly, anger explodes inside you. Your hands grip the wheel. Your heart races. Your mind shouts, "Idiot! Who does he think he is?" Now imagine the same situation, but with mindfulness. The car cuts you off, and yes, the surge of anger arises. But instead of being dragged by it, you notice it. Wow, my chest is tight. My jaw is clenching. Anger is here. And in that noticing, something shifts. You are no longer the anger. You are the awareness holding the anger. Jack Kornfield often says, mindfulness doesn't stop the waves, but it teaches us how to surf. The waves of stress, fear, and anxiety won't disappear. Life will still challenge us. But when you see the hidden enemy for what it truly is, your own untrained mind, you suddenly hold the key to freedom. The most powerful battles you'll ever face are not in boardrooms, not on battlefields, not even in your relationships. They are in the quiet space between your thoughts. And once you learn how to meet that hidden enemy with awareness, compassion, and steadiness, you stop being dragged. You start walking your own path. This is the beginning of taking your power back. The turning point. Every journey begins with a moment of breaking. That quiet, painful point when you realize, I can't keep living like this. For me, it came on a Tuesday afternoon. I was sitting at my desk, surrounded by half-drunk coffee cups and a mountain of sticky notes. Deadlines were chasing me. My inbox was overflowing. My chest felt heavy, as if a stone were pressing down. But the strange thing was, none of this was new. I had been living in this storm for months, maybe years. And yet that day, something cracked. I remember staring at the screen, reading the same sentence 3 times, and suddenly asking myself, is this it? Is this what my whole life is going to feel like? Running, racing, never arriving. It wasn't depression exactly. It was emptiness. A sense that no matter how much I did, it would never be enough. And in that emptiness, for the first time, I paused. Many people describe a similar breaking point. A mother overwhelmed by juggling work and children, finally locking herself in the bathroom just to cry in silence. A young professional lying awake at 3 a.m., scrolling through her phone, knowing tomorrow will bring the same exhaustion. A retired man who, after decades of working, suddenly feels lost without his titles and tasks. Stress looks different for each of us, but the turning point often feels the same. The realization that the way we've been living is unsustainable. For some, like John Kabat-Zinn, the turning point came when he noticed the suffering of his patients, people struggling with chronic pain, who had tried every medical option but still lived in agony. He began teaching them mindfulness, not to erase the pain, but to transform their relationship with it. And from there, the famous mindfulness-based stress reduction program was born. For Sharon Salzberg, the turning point came as a young woman searching for healing after a childhood of loss. She traveled to India, met meditation masters, and discovered that beneath her pain was a heart capable of love and resilience. She returned to the United States to share this with the world, co-founding the Insight Meditation Society, which has touched countless lives. Thich Nhat Hanh often spoke of his own turning point during the war in Vietnam, when he saw unbearable suffering. Instead of running away from the pain, he transformed it into compassion and peace. His path of engaged Buddhism showed that mindfulness is not an escape from life, but a way of fully living it, even in chaos. My turning point was smaller, quieter. That afternoon at my desk, I Googled the word mindfulness. Honestly, I thought it sounded a little ridiculous. Sit and breathe? Who has time for that? But something inside me whispered, what do you have to lose? So I closed my laptop, set a timer for 5 minutes, and sat on the floor. I tried to follow my breath, in and out. My mind wandered 100 times. I doubted myself every second. But then, in the middle of all that noise, there was a single brief moment, just a few seconds, when my breath felt like home. The chaos softened. The stone in my chest lifted just a little. It wasn't magic. It wasn't permanent. But it was real. That was the turning point. The day I discovered that peace isn't somewhere out there, it's inside, waiting, available in each breath. The Buddha taught that suffering is a teacher. Without it, we might never search for another way. Without the pressure, the breakdown, the emptiness, I might never have found mindfulness. And perhaps the same is true for you. The turning point doesn't have to be dramatic. It can be as simple as realizing you're tired of running. As simple as pausing, even for one breath. That's where the journey begins. The secret weapon. When you hear the word secret weapon, what comes to mind? A high-tech gadget? A $1,000,000 strategy? Something locked away in a vault? But here's the surprise. The most powerful secret weapon for peace and resilience isn't outside of you. It doesn't require money or status or even luck. It's already inside you, waiting. That weapon is mindfulness. Thich Nhat Hanh called it the energy of being aware of what is happening in the present moment. Jon Kabat-Zinn described it as paying attention on purpose in the present moment and without judgment. And the Buddha himself taught that awareness is the path to freedom, that by seeing clearly, we stop being dragged blindly by our suffering. But here's the key. Mindfulness is not just an idea. It's a practice, a tool you can hold in your hands and use. Like any good weapon, it becomes powerful only when you learn how to wield it. There are 3 simple keys that open the door to this inner power. 1, breath is the anchor. Think of your mind like a boat on stormy water. The waves are your thoughts, rising, crashing, pulling you in every direction. If the boat has no anchor, you drift endlessly, exhausted. But when you drop an anchor, even in rough seas, you remain steady. That anchor is your breath. The Vietnamese Zen master used to guide students with the simplest practice. Breathing in, I know I am breathing in. Breathing out, I know I am breathing out. Sounds almost too easy, right? But the power lies in the simplicity. For a few seconds, you are no longer lost in yesterday's regrets or tomorrow's worries. You are here, grounded, steady. Athletes in America have discovered this too. Phil Jackson, the legendary basketball coach, taught mindfulness and breath awareness to the Chicago Bulls and Los Angeles Lakers. He knew that when players learned to breathe and center themselves, they performed with clarity and calm, even in the highest pressure moments. Breath was their anchor on the court. 2. Now is the only time we own. We spend so much of our lives bargaining with time. When I get this promotion, I'll relax. When my kids are older, I'll finally take care of myself. When I retire, then I'll really live. But here's the truth. The future doesn't exist. It never arrives. It only ever shows up as now. Thich Nhat Hanh often began his talks with a gentle reminder. The most precious gift we can offer anyone is our presence. Think about that. How many times have you been with someone you love but weren't really there? Maybe your body was in the room, but your mind was already at the next appointment. Mindfulness snaps us back to the reality that now is all we ever have. The present moment is not just a stepping stone, it is life itself. Jack Kornfield tells his students, if you can't find freedom in this breath, where else do you think you'll find it? That question hits hard because it strips away our excuses. We keep waiting for the right moment, the right mood, the right circumstances. But mindfulness says the right time is now. 3. Awareness transforms pain. Most of us believe the way to deal with pain is to avoid it, suppress it, or fight it. But the Buddha taught a radical truth. Suffering is not the enemy. Running away from it is. When you bring awareness to pain, whether it's physical discomfort, grief, or anxiety, it begins to shift. Not because the pain magically disappears, but because your relationship to it changes. Think of it this way. Imagine holding a piece of ice in your hand. If you clench your fist around it, it burns, it hurts, and you want to throw it away. But if you open your palm, the ice begins to melt naturally. Awareness works the same way. It softens the grip of suffering. Sharon Salzberg, known for her teachings on loving kindness, often shares stories of students who came to her retreats with deep trauma. At first, sitting with their pain felt unbearable, but slowly, as they learned to notice their breath, feel their body, and allow emotions to rise without judgment, something shifted. Pain was no longer a prison. It became a doorway to compassion and resilience. And here's where science backs it up. Neuroscientists at Harvard have shown that mindfulness practice actually changes the structure of the brain. Regions linked to stress shrink, while areas connected to empathy and emotional regulation grow stronger. In other words, awareness literally rewires us to handle pain differently. The real power of this weapon. What makes mindfulness a true secret weapon is its accessibility. You don't need to buy it. You don't need to travel to a monastery. You don't even need more than a few minutes a day. You already have the breath. You already have the present moment. You already have awareness. The Buddha once said, "You can search the whole world for someone more deserving of your love and compassion than yourself, and you will not find that person." This weapon begins with turning inward, with kindness, with presence, with courage to face your own mind. It's not dramatic, it's not flashy, but it's quietly revolutionary. Imagine millions of people, each learning to pause, to breathe, to notice. Wars may not end overnight, but anger in families would soften. Anxiety in workplaces would ease. Loneliness would be less crushing. The wild horse of the mind doesn't need to be killed. It needs to be guided. And these three keys, breath, presence, awareness, are the reins in your hands. When you pick them up, you discover something astonishing. The enemy inside your mind was never meant to destroy you. It was waiting to teach you how to be free. The mini experience. Up until now, you've only been reading words, concepts, stories. But mindfulness is not a theory, it's an experience. You can't learn to swim by reading about water. At some point, you have to step in. So let's do something radical together, right here, right now. A practice so short you don't even need to close your laptop or put down your phone. Ready? Sit comfortably. Let your shoulders drop just a little. Take one slow breath in through the nose and exhale gently through the mouth. Don't try to control anything. Just notice. Breathing in, you know you're breathing in. Breathing out, you know you're breathing out. Do this 2 more times. Inhale. Exhale. Now pause. Notice, did you feel your mind grow quieter even for just a few seconds? Did the endless chatter step back just a little to make space for stillness? This is the proof. Not from me, not from science, not even from the Buddha. The proof is in your own body. Thich Nhat Hanh used to guide thousands of people in huge lecture halls with nothing more than a bell and a few mindful breaths. Imagine the silence, an entire crowd breathing together, feeling connected without a single word. He called it collective energy of mindfulness. That same energy is available to you right now, alone in your room, and you don't need hours to feel it. Neuroscientists have shown that even a minute of mindful breathing lowers blood pressure, eases tension in muscles, and begins to calm the amygdala, the brain's alarm system. 1 minute. Athletes, CEOs, even soldiers in high-stress environments are using this mini experience. The US military actually trains soldiers in tactical breathing, a form of mindfulness, to help them stay calm under fire. If mindfulness can quiet the chaos of combat, imagine what it can do for your everyday stress. But here's what makes this little practice revolutionary. It proves you're not helpless. You don't need to wait for vacation, or for someone else to fix your problems, or for life to suddenly get easier. You already have the ability to touch peace in the middle of chaos, with nothing but your breath. Jack Kornfield tells his students, in just a few breaths you can return to your heart. That's what this is, a return, a homecoming. So here's my challenge. The next time you're stuck in traffic, waiting in line at Starbucks, or sitting in a tense meeting, try this 60-second experiment. 1 breath, 2 breaths, 3 breaths. That's it. And notice, the wild horse of your mind doesn't need to gallop all day. With just a gentle tug on the reins, it pauses, softens, and begins to follow your lead. This is mindfulness, alive in your own experience. Not an idea, not a philosophy, a felt reality, proven in your very next breath. The invitation by now, you've tasted it. Just a few breaths, just a brief pause, and already something shifted. Maybe it was small, maybe fleeting, but real. And that tiny shift holds a bigger truth. If 1 minute of mindfulness can soften the edges of stress, imagine what a daily practice could do for your entire life. I didn't come to mindfulness because I was wise or disciplined. I came because I was desperate. My mind was a storm, and I was drowning. At first, mindfulness felt boring, even frustrating. Sitting with my breath? Really? I wanted fireworks, quick fixes, instant relief. But little by little, the practice opened doors. I began to notice space between thoughts. I learned that emotions weren't permanent. I realized I could choose to respond instead of react. That small space, that pause, saved me countless times from saying something I'd regret, from spiraling deeper into worry, from missing the beauty right in front of me. And this isn't just my story. Sharon Salzberg often shares how loving kindness meditation transformed her life. She went from a young woman overwhelmed by grief to a teacher guiding thousands across America. Jon Kabat-Zinn brought mindfulness into hospitals, showing patients with chronic pain that while they couldn't always control their condition, they could change their relationship to it. Thich Nhat Hanh turned mindfulness into a movement of peace, reminding the world that every breath can be an act of healing. Their journeys are different, but the message is the same. Mindfulness is not reserved for monks in monasteries or yogis in caves. It belongs to everyone. Busy parents, stressed out students, exhausted workers, retirees searching for meaning. It belongs to you. So here is my invitation. Don't just treat mindfulness as something you try once. Treat it as a path, a journey, like planting a seed in the soil of your life. With daily attention, even just 5 or 10 minutes a day, that seed grows into resilience, compassion, and peace. You don't need to change your entire life overnight. Start small. Begin tomorrow morning with one conscious breath before you touch your phone. Pause in the middle of your workday to feel your feet on the ground. Take 3 breaths before answering that difficult email. These little moments, woven together, create a new way of living. If mindfulness can calm soldiers in combat, heal patients in pain, and transform activists in the middle of war, imagine what it can do in your kitchen, your office, your heart. That's why I created this channel. Mindfulness. Not to preach, but to walk beside you. Not to hand you a philosophy, but to offer you a practice. A journey we take together, breath by breath. Because the truth is, you don't have to keep running. You don't have to keep drowning in stress. There's another way, and it begins with the simple, radical act of pausing and coming home to yourself. So will you join me? Will you take this journey? Not someday, not when life slows down, but today, right now, in this very breath. Do you want written to be deeply moving, layered with imagery, teachings, and an emotional arc that lingers? The cinematic ending. Picture this with me. It's morning. The sun is just beginning to touch the edges of your window. Normally, this would be the moment you reach for your phone, the moment you dive headfirst into the chaos of notifications, headlines, reminders. But not today. Today, you pause. You feel the softness of your pillow. You notice the rhythm of your breath. You whisper to yourself, I am alive. In that simple recognition, something shifts. You don't need to run. You don't need to prove. You don't need to fight. For this one moment, life is enough. Now you stand up, pour yourself a cup of coffee or tea, and instead of rushing through it, you actually taste it. Warmth spreads through your hands, your chest, your whole body. You notice the steam rising, curling like a dancer in the morning light. And you smile. This isn't fantasy, it's mindfulness in action. Thich Nhat Hanh often said, the miracle is not to walk on water. The miracle is to walk on the earth. Imagine living with that sense of miracle every day. Walking to your car, feeling the ground beneath your feet. Standing in line at the grocery store, noticing the people around you, each carrying their own invisible struggles. Instead of impatience, compassion arises. Instead of frustration, you breathe. And when life tests you, as it always will, you no longer crumble in the same way. You may still feel anger, fear, or sadness, but mindfulness gives you space. You no longer confuse yourself with your emotions. You see them as waves. And as Jon Kabat-Zinn reminds us, you can't stop the waves, but you can learn to surf. Think about that for a moment. Life doesn't have to become easier for you to become freer. Freedom comes when you stop drowning and start riding the waves with awareness, courage, and grace. I once heard Sharon Salzberg describe mindfulness as coming home. Coming home not to a house, not to a place, but to yourself. And maybe that's the most cinematic image of all. After years of running, after countless battles with the hidden enemy of your restless mind, you finally come home. You sit down inside yourself and whisper, "Welcome back. You belong here." And from that place, everything changes. You speak more kindly. You listen more deeply. You carry peace not as a private treasure, but as a gift to others. Your smile can calm your children. Your patience can ease tension at work. Even strangers can feel it, though they may never know why their shoulders softened when they stood next to you in line. Imagine a world where millions of people did this, each starting their day not with fear or rushing, but with one mindful breath. Wars might not end overnight, but violence in our homes, in our hearts would soften. Our collective breath could become a collective healing. So here is my final invitation. Picture tomorrow morning again. But this time, it's not just a thought experiment. It's a practice. When you wake up, don't reach for your phone. Don't jump into the race. Instead, pause. One breath in, one breath out, a smile. That's your beginning. And if you forget, that's okay. Each breath is another chance. Each step is another beginning. Peace is never lost. It is always one breath away. That's why I created this channel, Mindfulness. Because none of us are meant to walk this path alone. We walk together, inspired by teachers like Thich Nhat Hanh, Sharon Salzberg, Jack Kornfield, Jon Kabat-Zinn, and by the timeless words of the Buddha. Now, let's end the way we began, with silence. A pause, a breath. Breathing in, breathing out. Smiling. And in that smile, you know, the cinematic ending isn't on a screen. It's here, in your life, waiting for you to live it.